Now, guys, I want you to know this. I was reading Warren's book, and I know the subject of the show is free people of color. But what I found fascinating, yeah, you phrased out for a little bit, Warren. Um, what I found fascinating about your book, Warren, I was about to announce to the audience, is that yes, the show is originally about free people of color, but the various ways of oppressive labor extraction of white people who were not slaves was fascinating as hell to me. Quite honestly, because I mean I knew about a few people of color and I knew about the class of '60s, but I didn't know any of this about the length of servitude that white people were served. I did not know that poor white women could have their children taken to work in servitude like black women would have their child slaves taken from them and forced into bondage. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, what you're seeing is that the oppression that this early generation of free people of color is facing is a result of lawmakers in the colonies trying to control white women and their sexuality. Um, and so, we don't think about that link between these poor white women and the free people of color, but that's exactly what's going on here. Um,
Wow.
Pascal, did you see this comment on the screen?
I discovered patriarchy as a political economy. No, I didn't discover patriarchy. I just did not know about the actual way in which the strip. The thing that got me, the different iterations of labor context was fascinating. But the fact that poor women, and it wasn't a rarity. They would often they would take their kids if they were either divorced or they were economically indigent, and they would like sell the white women. They would sell the kids off to indentured servitude or bonded labor.
yeah,
How,
yeah.
how long does that happen in America? Like, when does that stop?
Well, again, I mean, there are instances of this going on um, up to the Civil War where the children are taken away because part of the problem is that single women, widowed women don't have the same legal rights to their children as men do. And that's across race lines. So if you are a poor white woman, whether it's 1750 or 1850, and the court wants to take away your kids, they can. And so what happens is, if you're well connected, you can create an arrangement where that doesn't happen. But if you're somebody who's not well connected, then it's more likely that your kids are going to be taken away. And again, if you're a white woman who's having children of color, then certain people may see that as a problem and want to take your kids away as well. The only thing that would prevent them from doing this again goes back to money, right? So if if the court can see that you can take care of your kids in some way or support your kids, or it might become a burden on the community to take away your kids, then they'll let you keep your kids. But if somebody else can make money off your kids, then there's a greater possibility that they would want to take your children away and give them to somebody else.
And these are not just black women; these are white women as well.
Right. Yeah. And you see that, like I said, throughout the time period. Although I would say that the closer we get to the 1860s and the Civil War, uh, the servitude and apprenticeship system seems to target uh, free people of color at a disproportionate level in certain places. So again, not everywhere, but you do see that pattern in certain
Yeah.
So,
places.
So
as
someone's
a
asking.
historian,
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry.
As a historian, I want to ask you this. I want to be very blunt, straight up, and I want your thoughts. Don't you think this complicates the narrative of history being promoted with the 1619 project?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely complicated. I mean, first of all, the part of like 1619 erases the Spanish experience and the connection of free people of color and how Spanish Florida and Louisiana tie into this larger picture. It's kind of left out of the story in that sense. Um, Yeah, I mean, of course. And, I would say that, the 1619 project, at least in this original iteration, was not designed to be, holistic and tell all these details. I think, that's something. It's when you come up with these narratives of like, this is what Black history is, from 1619 to the present, or however you want to frame it. They're going to be stories that get left out, and this is one story that tends to get left out because it doesn't fit easily in a lot of narratives, around the
Well, the
topic.
narrative of slavery for a lot of us is roots.
Right.
And
And
this
even
really dispels that whole, I got to look at LeVar Burton totally differently now. You understand?
yeah, I mean, I, I think for a lot of people, it's really hard to get their minds around this type of situation because we're just not familiar with it. Like you said, it's not portrayed in the movies. Many historians don't pay it a lot of attention. But if you look at the statistics, it's actually an important story for the history of Black people in the United States and people beyond just Black people in the United States. I mean, there are a lot of descendants of free people of color or white people, Native American people, and identify in that way as well. I mean,
And I
just
also, as we kind of always talk here about, the unified Black experience and, racial democracy over
Social democracy.
social democracy. As this narrative gets lost and we constantly promote the more 1619 narrative, how is forgetting this past harmful in your opinion?
well, I mean, if you forget it, you don't understand the reality that we come from. If you don't understand the reality that we come from, how are you going to figure out how we got to where we are today and how we're going to go towards the future? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The present doesn't make sense without understanding the complicated nature of the past.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out. You can catch the live stream of This Is Revolution every Tuesday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. This is Revolution.